Hello and welcome to the podcast that is absolutely delighted with the return of long throws and direct football, the only proper way to play football. It's the big man up top. Woo! How are you doing?
I'm okay. I have no idea what you just said.
That voice is the voice of producer Tom. How are you, Tom?
I'm really good. Thanks, Ed. How are you?
Oh, I'm tremendous. Now, for the listeners, you would normally be expecting to hear Joe's voice at this point.
Yeah.
But, sadly, he's not ill today, but he can't talk.
Yeah.
He's lost his voice.
I don't know what he's been doing.
Well, all I can say is it may or may not have something to do with Liverpool finally getting a win at the weekend. I'm not gonna speculate, but he even sent a WhatsApp voice note showing me. He's like, "This is how much I can talk, and I don't think this is going to work for the podcast."
So he was screaming with happiness then over the weekend.
Maybe, or maybe he's ill. But either way, we hope Joe gets better soon.
Oh yeah. Boy, we do.
And just like a super sub, we thought we'd just throw you into the mix.
Absolutely.
With like no notice whatsoever.
I feel less like a super sub. I'm more like the water boy, I think.
Well, it's great to have you here, Tom. How have you found the first few weeks of settling in here at UCB?
It's been wonderful. I've been, putting my foot down, making changes where it needs to be happened. This podcast days, they're numbered. No,
it's going.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Gosh.
I'm loving the big man up top. I think it's fantastic, and other UCB podcasts that all the listeners should check out.
100%. And I'm just looking here at your CV, Tom.
You got it up?
Yeah, and it says here that you know, quote, loads about football.
Yeah. No, I can back that up.
Great. Do you know anything about football, Tom?
No. I lied on my CV.
This is going to go...
You should have asked me in the interview and I would never have been hired.
Yeah, this is going to go well. No, I am of course kidding. He did not put that on the CV because he's a lovely, honest boy. But yes, we're gonna chat a few things.
I'm willing to learn.
Well, that's good.
I'm absolutely willing to learn.
Yeah, you definitely said that in your interview.
Yeah.
So because producer Tom is not Joe, today's episode is going to look slightly different. We are going to bring you an interview that I did with a fantastic guy called George Thompson. Now, George Thompson is from Hibs up in Scotland. He does their audio descriptive commentary for people who are partially sighted or blind, but also lots of other people who really value the service that George does as well. So tell me a little bit about that, which we're going to dig into that later on. But there was loads that went on over the weekend, Tom, in terms of football.
Lots of football going on.
Loads of football.
All the time, I hear.
It's just never ending.
And, enough to make a podcast every week.
Absolutely.
So what went on this weekend?
Well, the big news really was that Liverpool finally ended their run of 4 straight Premier League defeats by beating Aston Villa at Anfield, who themselves have been on a run of 4 straight Premier League victories, and they've had their run halted by this result. And I think this is basically what has meant that Joe has phoned in sick today. Now, I'm not going to say that Liverpool were lucky, Tom, because I think that would be unfair. They were much improved. Gravenberch returning to the side had a lot to do with it. But here's a big but. Mo Salah was definitely gifted their opening goal. But Aston Villa started really, really well. Salah was gifted an opening goal thanks to an absolute howler from Emi Martinez. And Gravenberch himself, he got on the score sheet later on thanks to quite a big deflection. So I'd say they had a few things go right for them when they needed to. But obviously, Joe will be absolutely delighted with that.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can get a voice note from
Perhaps.
Joe.
I mean, it sound like this.
I think
Liverpool won.
I think should we let's put that in here now.
Hi Ed, it's Joe here. As requested, here is my voice note where you wanted me to state that Liverpool are back. So here it is, Liverpool are back. All the issues have gone away. The title charge is on. But no, massive win for Liverpool. It felt a bit like the perfect fixture to me. Villa were insistent on playing out from the back, which suited Liverpool massively. Arne Slot himself has said, you can beat Liverpool if you play long balls, basically. So it baffled me a little bit that Villa didn't do any of that. They played out from the back. The first goal came from a mistake. There's a lot of chat that that's an easy finish from Salah, and I don't think it is. It's on his weak foot. It's the first time. There's not a lot of the goal to aim at. I actually think that's a really good finish and quick thinking from him as well. A lot of players will take a touch there. But no, and then a delightful second from Ryan Gravenberch, who changed the game. He makes Liverpool a lot better. But like I say, Ed, I feel like if we managed a team against Liverpool at the moment, we would know to just get it launched, knock it long. And Villa just didn't do that. So yeah, big win, huge game tonight, home to Real Madrid. Can't wait.
Wouldn't it be funny if next week they lose?
It would be genuinely fantastic. They obviously need to build on this, and I'm sure they will. Arsenal winning again after a really, really comfortable 2-0 away win at Burnley. I think that's the scary thing about Arsenal, is that they're picking up wins where in previous years they wouldn't have done. Away at Burnley, it's a difficult place to go and all that sort of stuff. But they showed real character and grit, which is what they've lacked in previous years. And crucially, it kind of feels like they've got another gear to go. So that's kind of scary for everybody else. Man United were looking for a fourth win in a row themselves and were denied, sadly, by Sean Dyche's Nottingham Forest. Now, there was a bit of controversy in this one, Tom, when a corner was incorrectly given to United. Oddly enough, this actually happened last week to Nottingham Forest as well, where the opponents got a corner when they shouldn't have, that led to a goal. But United scored from the resulting corner. Forest fought back, though, and managed to take a 2-1 lead with Amad Diallo for Man United scoring a stunning late volley to rescue a point. So I think both United and Forest will be fairly happy with this one. United are they still played well. They're still carrying on the momentum, but obviously not the win they wanted.
And that Instagram fan that wasn't going to cut his hair until United wins 5 games.
Sadly, he's got to start again.
He's got to start all over again.
At this point, he is looking like a 70s microphone. It's tremendous.
Like Chewbacca by the end of it.
Very much so. But yes, and then crucially, Wolves, who put in an abysmal display against Fulham, losing 3-0. The writing felt very much on the wall, but manager Vitor Pereira was sacked on Sunday morning, and in the very much in vogue is teams going back to the manager they've just sacked, and they're currently in talks with Gary O'Neill as we record this to return to his former club less than a year after being sacked. So that they're looking
Return of the King.
Well, yeah, sure, maybe. Elsewhere in the Championship, the top 2 losing, so Coventry going down to the Hollywood Boys, Wrexham on Friday night, and Middlesbrough losing 3-0 away at Watford. But of course, this means that the big winners in the Championship this weekend were my beloved Stoke. Sure. This is great. I love this. Joe wouldn't be this happy.
I'm sorry. Should I try to emulate Joe?
No, it's fine. No. Keep with it. But yeah, my beloved Stoke, who absolutely smashed Bristol City 5-1, and again, Bristol City up there in the playoffs as well. A huge win for the Potters, and actually as well, Stoke looking really, really good value from it. It could have easily been 7 or 8. Really, really outstanding display for them, and I think Stoke fans are quietly going, we could win this one. We might be going up. Like, whisper it quietly. We might be going up. So they're the sort of the big chats that have happened in football this weekend, Tom. But I wanted to ask you about your footballing experience, because you have actually been to a game fairly recently.
I have, really recently. So when I moved up here to start this wonderful job, I am staying in Crewe with some friends, one of which is a massive, massive diehard Crewe Alexandra supporter. Now, I'd been to a Crewe game before when I was a little bit younger. It was the only football game I've ever been to until now. And I went to see them play against Brom. It was something with a B. BR.
Okay, this is great.
Some football team. And they lost.
Oh, dear.
But, Yeah, I've never seen them win.
well, listen, you're going to have to go back.
I'm going back this weekend.
Oh,
this
fantastic.
Saturday.
Super.
I'm super looking forward to it. Hope they win. They won not last weekend, but the weekend before when they played at home, and I wasn't there.
So you need to hurry up and I need
to be there every
down
week.
To
I feel.
Road. I'm interested to know. As somebody who sort of, isn't really into football, what was your experience like of the game? Because I recently took a friend who'd never been to a game of football to a game of football down at Stoke, and it was very exciting for us. So what was it like for you?
Yeah, no, it's hard not to enjoy it. I have to admit, as like in my past, I've been kind of stuck up about football. It's like, oh no, I don't like that sport. Oh no, I'm going to watch F1. That's much more my speed, and stuff like that. But then you go to the match, and I think it's the crowd environment. It really, really gets you in. And I was cheering for a team that I see. I don't follow them.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
No affection for them whatsoever.
I'm getting furious at Bromsley or whatever from out of town.
I have no idea who Bromsley is.
I don't
this
know.
is great.
Yeah, Bromersfield, up the Broms. That's what we'll say. No, down the Broms. I was getting furious when they fouled against Crewe and also there's a lot of clapping in football games, and I found myself clapping and I don't know why. It's like, I don't, why? Okay,
you just all of a sudden find yourself carried along with the crowd.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get it.
You get it.
I think I get it.
Well,
I'm
let's see,
becoming a convert.
Let's see if you end up back at the Alex again. But I think I wanted to bring this interview that I did with George Thompson from Hibs. Now, George has basically spent 9 seasons at Hibs doing the audio descriptive commentary. And at first I was a little bit like, well, okay, how is this any different from, example, radio commentary? I love listening to football games on the radio. I think there's a real art to it. And I was sort of thinking, well, isn't this just sort of the same? Couldn't the fans just sort of listen to this radio commentary? And George very, very graciously listened to my questions and just shared with me about what he does. And I was just absolutely blown away. And actually, we're coming up to the time of the year where there's lots of visibility days around disability. So November, the back end of November is Disability History Month. And so it just got me thinking about this whole thought of accessibility in football and where we can be doing a little better. And George had some really great insights. George Thompson, thank you so much for joining me on The Big Man Up Top. First of all, introduce yourself to our listeners. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Yes, well, thanks, Ed. It's great to be here. My name is George. I'm up in Scotland, as you can probably tell from the accent. And I'm basically just a person who loves football. So I'm an audio descriptive commentator, primarily for Hibs, although I've done it for Hamilton Accies, one of the local teams up here as well. I've also been a co-commentator and doing a co-commentary match with the Celtic commentator as well when Hibs played Celtic a couple of seasons ago. So this will be my 9th football season as a football commentator, and audio descriptive commentary is fantastic. It's slightly different from TV commentary and radio commentary as well, where it is to be more descriptive. And our audience obviously is fans who are blind and partially sighted, and also some fans who have a little bit of sensory issues, such as autism, for example, and neurodiverse conditions. So that's what I do most Saturdays, I would say.
So I'm really, really fascinated about this because I love radio commentary. I think that radio commentary on football is one of the most wonderful arts. And I'm really intrigued to know because I think we all know what the difference is in terms of the sound between radio and TV commentary. Obviously, there's much more description in there, because there's no pictures to do the heavy lifting. But I'm really intrigued to know what the difference is, particularly between radio commentary and between this audio descriptive commentary that you do. So let's dive down into that a little bit.
Yeah, well, what I'll do is I'll give you a little bit of context first before I do that, if that's okay. So I think it was roughly about 2017-2018 football season. There was a role of what you call the disability access officer for every football club, and that became a sort of requirement across UEFA member clubs all across Europe. And what their role is to basically be a focal point and make sure that there's something in place to make sure that all disabled fans, regardless of their physical or sensory impairments, that they are all their needs are met, and there's a sort of service on offer. And part of the service is audio descriptive commentary, which is the service that I provide. But, Ed, when you go to a football match, there's something special about celebrating a goal, especially a goal in maybe a big match or something, and you may be sitting beside a stranger and you end up hugging that stranger. You share the same sense of joy and passion when that goal goes in. But for a fan who's blind and visually impaired, they may not see the ball bulge the net. But what they do is they feel the moment. They feel the noise. Their heart skips a beat of excitement. And what we do is basically paint a picture. We paint a picture of what is happening on the pitch. So I would use adjectives to describe the weather, describe the stadium, describe players' haircuts, their hairstyles, and some players change their hairs like the weather. Quite often they've got a short back and sides. It could be something different. It could be colour of football boots. Certain players will be known for wearing pink luminous football boots or yellow luminous football boots, such as the fashion those days. And obviously strips is another one. One of the statistics is something like 1 in every 10 males are colourblind, but they probably don't realise or know it. So colours are very important, especially when it involves football strips, etc. And I would also use adjectives like describing where the ball is on the pitch, so many yards from goal. I would probably say there's a throw-in on the east stand side, midway inside the half, so many yards from goal. So every detail paints a picture for the listener.
So it's almost radio commentary, leans into that a bit, that descriptive, but it's almost like you guys are going a whole other step further, and it is all about painting that visual picture, and it's all about leaning into that descriptive storytelling of what's going on and everything else, to give people who are blind or partially sighted a fuller sort of sensory picture of what's going on.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, TV commentary, radio commentary is fantastic, but what maybe their audience is somebody listening in who's maybe visited the ground before, but they're not at the game that day. So they probably have a picture of your Old Traffords, your Wembleys, your Hampdens. They've probably got a picture of that in their mind of where the ball is from the commentary position or the TV camera position. But if you're blind or partially sighted, you don't have that picture in your mind. If you think about people who are maybe blind from birth, they can't visualise, and what you're doing is you're creating a picture for them to be part of everybody else, so that they feel the same as what everyone else feels, and that they feel as though they're enjoying their match day experience. That's a phrase that we would use, is all about enjoying the match day experience and providing that enjoyment and entertainment and feel good factor, that they are all inclusive, and that they will feel the same as what you and I would feel if our favourite football team scores a goal.
Are there people that use the service who can see, maybe the neurodiverse, who just appreciate
that sort of wider context being put on what they're watching?
Most definitely, yes. I can think of one example where we have a young boy who has autism, and he goes with his dad, but his dad can't fully concentrate on the match because he's, looking after his son, looking out for his son. When the audio commentary came along and he heard about audio commentary and how it could benefit him and his son as well, his son listens to our audio commentary, so he's fixated by statistics. He's fixated and got something to concentrate on, and he's so excited as well, and he listens and takes everything all in. So because he's concentrating on the football, listening to the commentary, therefore his dad can now know and have that peace of mind that his son is enjoying himself. He can enjoy himself and concentrate on the match as well. And it's so much easier for himself. So there's a lot more people who I think audio descriptive commentary can benefit. And I think a lot of people who maybe can see, but just through old age, for example, maybe their sight is just deteriorating ever so slightly. I would urge any fan listening in to speak up and contact the Disability Access Officer, because it's for everybody. And it's a service that is free. It's a service that is provided by the clubs. And it's, it would benefit anybody, even sitting at the back end of a top tier, for example. Don't be embarrassed. Reach out and speak to your Disability Access Officer, and they would happily provide.
Are there any particular standout moments for you in the time that you've been doing this?
Yeah, I've got a few moments. In terms of the commentary and doing the commentary for our listeners, one of the things that we do at the start of the season or the end of the season ticket holders, they have a receiver. And that receiver, they keep that receiver pretty much all season. They can use their own headphones, and we know where they sit, and that's theirs for the season. They hand it back and they collect it again when the season starts. So occasionally throughout that period and in between, we get to actually meet some of the fans who are listening in. And there's a great joy and a great appreciation of the work that goes on, and I like those moments because you're seeing who you're talking to, and you're seeing the joy in their faces light up when they speak to you and they recognise you by your voice, and I just like listening to how they've enjoyed the experience. And one of the things I always do as a commentator is I always want to improve, and how can I better what I do to provide a better service. And one of the things I always ask them is there anything I can do to improve how we talk, what to say, what not to say? How would it make you feel better as a football fan listening in? So almost like critiquing myself and using our listeners to let us know how we're doing. Some people want to hear every little detail and less maybe factual information. Some people want to hear a little bit more factual information. So every time there's a break in play for an injury, etc., we try to fill up the time by maybe pointing in one or two statistics and facts about the football club, the players. So one of the things that radio and TV are good at is providing lots of statistics, whereas audio descriptive commentary is great to have, but probably we would use statistics less. In terms of games to commentate on, it's not often Hibs get to semi-finals and finals over the past few years, but I think it was 2019. Hibs had played Rangers at Hampden in the Premier Sports Cup semi-final. I remember it well because obviously it's at Hampden and these visits are rare. But what I remember was it was one of my first times commentating at a full, bigger stadium. Hibs Stadium holds 20,000, almost full capacity, whereas Hampden's about 55,000. The noise was incredible. I could hardly hear myself think and speak. So it was a bit of a challenge, but, we got through it okay. And thankfully Hibs won the tie 3-0. A Martin Boyle hat-trick that day as well, just to paint the picture. And it was fantastic, but it was a fast-paced match, and some of these matches can be fast-paced, so you have to keep up with that as well, which proves more challenging at times.
Finally, I wondered if you had any thoughts on what more football clubs or the game as a whole could be doing.
I think at the higher level, certainly in the Premier League, for example, it's easier to provide certain aspects within football, from the commentary side of it to the basic of, wheelchair accessibility, sensory rooms as well. And when you think football's all about, for many people, going maybe as a family, providing something for the family, for those members in the family who are maybe can't concentrate and maybe neurodivergent, for example. But at the lower level, it's a little bit more difficult, so the divisions as you go down, funding, for example, is not there. I guess what I would like to see in terms, certainly speaking from up here in Scotland, and I'm sure it would be the same in England and in the rest of the UK as well, where it would be great that every team at every level can provide audio descriptive commentary and have sensory rooms, etc., on offer as well for the fans. And I think that's what I would like to see. And certainly for the commentators at the clubs, a lot more training as well to provide a better service. Some of the commentators are volunteers from many clubs, and you kind of learn by your experience, and you can have a few pointers. But if there was something a lot more better training to provide for commentators to help have that experience as well, I think that would be fantastic. So some more funding would be great to do that as well. One of the Bible verses I'm quite passionate about is Psalm 139, verse 14, which says, "I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made." And it's based on that verse, whether we're blind, sighted, weak or strong, we're all the handiwork of God, crafted with love, designed with dignity, and made for God's glory. And as a Christian, within that football context of audio descriptive commentary, it's one of the ways that I can bring faith and football together by serving those who are made fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. And that's one of the reasons that drives me on each match, each day. Although I can't physically go out and preach the gospel, I can certainly live it and serve others that, they might not be able to physically see, but they'd be able to see a glimpse of God's glory through what I do.
Amen to that, George. Amen. Well, listen, you are doing an incredible work.
Thank you, Ed. It's been a pleasure.
So that was my interview with George Thompson. Isn't he delightful?
That was wonderful. What a lovely man. What a kind man.
Oh yeah, really, really great guy. And honestly, we could have chatted for way longer. But he's an avid listener to the podcast as well, so he'll be tuning in.
He's a big man up top.
He certainly is.
Is that what we call our fans?
I
what
don't
are
know.
our fans
Why
called?
not? I don't know. But yeah, George was a really great guy.
So as a Christian and a football fan, how important do you think it is that we support these people like George who are making football accessible?
Yeah, massively. And I think one of the big things is the point that George made himself, which was about, when he's doing his job, he's thinking about everybody in the stands at that game who's listening to his commentary as being fearfully and wonderfully made. And that's exactly it. Everybody in that stadium, whoever they are made in the image of God. And so anything that he can be doing to support them in his work is really, really important. So scripturally, I think that's very important, as George said. But actually, the other thing that struck me after I'd spoken to George was that we want others to share in the joy that we have. You know, you talked about you going to a football game for the first time, and me as a football fan, I'm like, oh great, you know, I want to know what game you've gone to, I want to know where you've sat in the stadium, because actually, like, football brings me a lot of joy, and so I want to sort of remove any barriers from sharing that with other people. I was thinking about, so I'm also a bit of a music fan, Tom, and I have a friend and we send each other recommendations. And what's funny is we've fallen into this habit of sending, because we have different music platforms of choice, if you catch my drift. I use one brand, he uses another. So when we send each other music recommendations, we actually just send each other YouTube clips, because we can both access it, we both get, you know. And so, like, if I want to get my mate into a new band, I don't want him to go, oh, you've sent me a Spotify link here.
I've got Apple Music.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got to listen to ads.
He's not going to do that. I want to share my joy of this band. I want to share the joy of what I've experienced with him, and so I will remove any barriers. I will bombard him with YouTube links, things that he can see quickly and easily. And I just think, like, it's the same thing. Like, we want to share this joy of football and what it is, and so we should therefore be wanting to just remove any barriers that we can from people experiencing that same joy. You know, I remember some of the most incredible moments of my life have been in football stadiums, and, like, why wouldn't you want other people to experience that? So let's look at removing all barriers where we can, and I think that George had some great ideas for how we can do that. So that's all we've got time for, Tom. One of the things I was going to say is that usually we have some subs that fill in for us. You know, we've heard of Joel Brown, who
Sub Joel,
who fills in from time to time, and there's a couple of others as well that we sometimes hear from. But a lot of our presenters here at UCB are a little bit busy this week.
Why are they busy?
Well, they're busy because it's the UCB appeal, and that's something that you'll be very aware of if you listen to UCB radio. It's one of the times of the year where we come together and ask our listeners to get behind us in prayer, but also to support us financially with the work that UCB does as well. So if you want to get involved, then tune in to UCB1 or UCB2 all this week, and you'll be able to hear about the UCB appeal. But that's all we've got time for this week, Tom.
Oh, I've enjoyed my time in the spotlight.
Yeah, have you enjoyed? Yeah, great. I'm glad. You at least, you've come out. I think you've given it a pretty solid 7 out of 10.
I've given it the old college try.
You certainly have. We'll get you back on again at some point. But thank you so much for listening to The Big Man Up Top. Please like, subscribe, follow, all that lovely, lovely stuff. And please get in touch with us as well. podcasts@ucb.co.uk. Thank you very much, Tom, for all your hard work behind the scenes. I actually get to thank you in person. You know.
Oh, that's odd. Yeah. Look at us.
Because it's very much Tom that is going to make this into a lovely, pretty podcast that you guys can all actually listen to.
Hey, I get to say you're welcome. That's wicked.
Certainly. And there is going to be an exciting new episode next week. So tune in next Tuesday.
Hopefully with Joe.
Hopefully with Joe. See you later.
Bye.